Hey everyone, how's it going? Lunar Complex here, and it's been a while. It's been a very long time, probably more than a year, since I've really uploaded anything new to this channel, and there's definitely a reason for that. I have been very busy with work lately, and busy with things outside of work, but that hasn't been the real problem with uploading to this channel. The main thing is I've just kind of stopped using RPG Maker and stopped kind of doing things in RPG Maker, and it's not that it's a bad engine. It's amazing, it's incredible, it handles a lot of things for you, and you could kind of do whatever you want in it to an extent. It's just, it's not the correct engine for me to use anymore, because there are different things I want to work on, those mainly being an MMORPG, and I think I've finally gotten to a point to where I could start developing my own, and that's kind of what this video is going to be about. Maybe a kind of short introduction to a development vlog, or a lead up to what I've been working on since I've kind of stopped uploading things to this channel up into the point where I'm at now. And without further ado, let us begin with what is on the screen. This used to be a video, or a game that I uploaded as a video that is kind of just text-based, very, very simply done. It runs terrible because it is actually all text on here. The game itself is just a large block of text always being created and removed to the screen over a course of, I don't know, 20 times per second, however many times I was able to. And since this, I've been able to move on and make so many other things, even through Canvas and JavaScript. The next thing here is the ASCII RPG I was making. This is kind of like the next thing right after the RPG here. And basically, when you go to new game, your little dot on the screen, there's actually color, and all that you can really do is collect items. This is tin ore, if you want to collect that. There's some green ore over here. Never mind, that was grass. Can't believe I was just fooled by my own game. That looks something. Maybe that's just stone. This is definitely ore over here. This is gold ore. How about that? You can hit escape. You can check your inventory, see what you've collect. You can then, I guess, leave the game, go to title, yes. You can come back. This is the same place you're at. You have the same items that you've found. And if you hit I, you can tell what FPS you're at. It does get worse the further you go out from the origin. The origin being, I believe it places the character at 15,000 and 12,000. And it is a random seed too, so if you refresh the page, enter, this will look different than if you refresh the page and go somewhere else. So the seed is kind of loosely based off the time and some other random variables as well. But this is not good at all for a game. Sure, maybe for a type of game, but the game that I've wanted to make definitely needs to have some sort of graphics to it, and so we move on to the next project, which actually does include graphics. This may look very similar to RPG Maker. What I'm doing now is just using placeholders for the graphics that RPG Maker supplies you with, and basically what you can do is walk around. You can leave the area if you want, there's nothing else out there. And if you refresh the page, it just loads trees, and you can interact with the trees by pressing the O key, and a kind of box appears, and it's basically like you're wood cutting a tree, and it falls over after 4 hits. You collect some wood. I believe it yields 4 logs per tree cut down. And then yeah, so I was finally getting a grasp of how to, like, actually there's some hitbox collision going on here too, and the hitbox is the entire character. You can kind of go behind the trees too, which is nice. But there's no, I guess, true layering. There is kind of with the trees themselves, but that is only because they basically are always layered over the player, I think, in this kind of demo that I made. And that's basically all you can do here. Just still getting a grasp of things. The next thing I worked on was a little bit more focused on combat. So you can move around like before. O to attack, or in this case, is just a generic action. Although the enemy's HP bar drain after every attack. And if you hold down O, you can do a combo attack. So kind of short-ranged single attack, and then hold it longer, you have a right attack. a left attack, and then a super mega awesome, I don't know, doubled attack length of your first attack. I don't think it does any more damage, it just extends the range a bit, and you collect orbs, and just that's really about it. Still getting the basics here of like actually using Canvas and JavaScript to actually make a video game with graphics. So after this was the big demo that I worked on that really kind of led me to believe that I started to put everything together of what I needed to make an MMORPG. Although it wasn't online capable yet, I will get to that in a few minutes. But the next thing is this setting here. So this is a, each tile on here is about 72 by 72 pixels, and we're at 13 tiles by 23, I believe, is what I went with as a good resolution. We have our frames per second up there, some information to tell you what you can do. And this is on my website at lunarcomplex.com, I believe, /testing. So if we go here, testing. Yeah, this is actually here. I obviously am not going to use just a direct rip-off of RPG Maker's assets, but anyway. Moving on, the hitbox is basically the player's lower feet. So you can actually walk a little bit so that the character looks like they're actually supposed to stand correctly on a dock, and then the water's behind them. I can collect items that are on the ground. I can left click to open up my inventory or use the number key. I have other things like equipment, spells coming soon hopefully, and I have skills as well. I drew a lot of inspiration from RuneScape because I just feel like that is such a great game, or at least it used to be, and I'm kind of working with things here, just seeing what I can make and develop. And so if you want, you can right click to equip the axe, you can left click, you can then, while you have this axe equipped in your, I guess, main hand slot, if you hit space, like your action key, you can then start cutting a tree down. Occasionally you'll get some logs, or just one. My woodcutting level is still level 1. With every log I gain, you get about 15 XP. And I'm not sure what the max amount of logs a tree can yield is, but it's a good amount. And while you're cutting these, you can move logs throughout your inventory. You can drop them by just moving them off the inventory. You can collect them back up if you want. If we move over to here, this is like our little woodcutting pin. And you can start cutting more trees, and you might ask like, oh look, there's a different shade tree. What is this? Level 2 woodcutting required. So let me just quickly get level 2 woodcutting. Alright, so we're pretty close to getting the woodcutting level requirement that we need for these different types of trees. As you can see, I believe level 2 requires 300 experience. You get 15 each per log, and the trees are set to a timer that eventually they'll come back and you can recut them, and there's a little level up kind of text that appears that you could barely honestly see. Let me just move these, make it nice and neat. So now I'm level 2 woodcutting, and I can come down here and cut this tree, see what kind of tree this is. And we can tell by the log that we get from it, which will happen any second. And there we go. If you haven't noticed by the mahogany log icon or text appearing, if I right click this, go to, I mean, I don't have to use information, but it just says, you know, they were once part of a lovely tree. Right click, we get the item name above the window of actions we can use. Mahogany log, it's a mahogany tree. And then the next tree here requires level 50 woodcutting. I'm not going to be able to do that because I think I calculated it out to take hundreds, if not thousands of hours to woodcut in order to get to level 50, but it just yields you magic logs, and this is kind of basically it that I built for this kind of test demo, just figuring things out, see if I can make a leveling system, a skill system, work on other things. I got some clouds moving along, and yeah, so the next thing after this is definitely a step into the right direction in terms of making an MMORPG. So basically imagine this just being the single player version, and now what we have is the actual game here, and actually right here, this is what is playing the music currently too. So if I reload this, we have Beyond First Light, and if I click to get rid of the splash screens, they do fade in, fade out. You can hit any key, I believe, to make them go by faster. We have now the title screen of Beyond First Light, login, register. You can register, you can create an account. This isn't live or anything. I can make it live, but I'm kind of working on some things before making it live in case anybody decides to try and like DDoS or make it a not good experience for some players. And also the game's not done in any way, shape, or form. But I have been working a lot in the past year on trying to make concepts for the game in order to then implement in the game, like inventory system and etc. I'll get on to what I've done in this game. But I do have my server running. This is all in Node.js, by the way, with Express, bcrypt for hashing passwords, MongoDB for the database for all the players, Socket.io for all the clients to connect to the server, and stuff like that. So what I have to do now is, I don't think I have an account yet. I think I deleted it. Yeah, so I gotta register an account. So I'll just type in Lunar, pick some random password. Then the server tells me username is available, or it doesn't exist, and it is available. Hashes the password, and the new username is created. So currently my account is in a kind of not yet created, but it's available. It's weird, so I can just log in now. And now I can create my character and customize it. So I'll just go ahead and, I don't know, choose that hairstyle. I can change some colors, some hues, some saturation. Let's kind of just go with the default I usually go with. There we go. Some red highlights in the front, black in the back. You can change the color of the underwear. Do what you like. Let's create. And there's nothing for eyes or underwear in terms of changing, like, the style. This is just proof of concept before moving into adding in so many other things, like clothing and everything. It should be relatively easy now that I've figured out how to actually make a customizable character. But, as you could tell, the music faded out. We're done with the login screen. The overworld music kind of settles in, and the music is all from Rusty Hearts, if any of you have played that game. It's a very fun action-based dungeon crawling kind of game. But anyway, we have our inventory, which not really created yet. I have works to put it in eventually, but I'm just kind of working on other things that I'll get into after explaining this. But for the most part, you can log out if you want. You can kind of take the stairs here, and now you're in the kind of overworld, the first level. And just to test skills level up properly, I made it so that you gain fishing experience with every transition. So that's interesting. Level 3 fishing without ever fishing anything. But anyway, if we come down here, we have, like, I don't know, some trees that turn transparent if you're behind them, and, you know, stuff like that. Just general, generic kind of MMORPG style looking stuff. And again, it's all in graphics I will eventually replace with maybe commissioned graphics and music and such. But you can even type in the game, which is pretty nice. And this all is multiplayer. If I go ahead and bring up another client, like the Internet Explorer one, or excuse me, Internet Explorer Edge? I don't know, it's Edge. And let's say, for example, I try and log in. What is going on? Alright. Let's just say I try and log in as Lunar. Just see what happens. Oh, you're already logged in. Oh, great. I'm glad it tells me these things. So if I just go ahead and make another character real quick, just to kind of show the proof of concept here. Let's just go with this hair and change these or something. I don't know. Doesn't need to be all fancy or anything. So I'm now in the game as well. If I decide to walk and try and find my other character. There he is. There's Lunar. So this actually works. Like, I have Cerelia here. I have, which one was it? I have Lunar here. And if I just go ahead and like do this, it'd be much easier to see, I'm sure. Just zoom these out a bit. Alright, so I can basically say, hi. And then it shows up over here, and I could be like, oh, hello there, Lunar. Don't worry about the misspells. I can walk around on this account. If I log out of this account, it will eventually disappear. I can just quickly re-log in. And there I am. Welcome back. Thank you. So a lot of the things, for the most part, everything interacting between the server and clients has been figured out. I've been able to figure all of that out. All that matters now is then implementing all of the little things, like making it so that inventory works, building an item library so you could pick up items, building the equipment library so that you have things to equip, skills. All of this needs to be done, and that's kind of what this development vlog is going to hopefully turn into. Me just trying to work through this. Maybe not do exact tutorials. I don't plan to do tutorials, but I can kind of do some just on maybe the single player aspect of the game. Maybe something similar to this build. Doing things with Socket.io and on my server, I don't know if I want to necessarily give up some of the information there, but in short, all of it is pretty much one for one what's on the single player version of the game. It just brought to a kind of server-client interaction multiplayer thing. The only thing the server really does is, well, everything. The only thing the client really does is accept things from the server and displays them on the screen. So everything in the background, like collisions, messages, it's all server-side, and the client is only really a viewer of what's going on the server. Of course, that's not the case with controls. Every input is tracked and make sure that are valid inputs before actually doing them to the character. So that is Beyond First Light, an MMORPG I would like to work on. There's just a lot of things that it involves with, or involves in general, and one of the things is a dialogue system that I was finally able to put together, and this kind of ties into the development vlog series that I want to start, where I haven't figured it out yet. Hopefully next week I'll figure it out. So on and so forth. Like currently with a controller I have, I can move the character with a controller, but I'm not right now. But I haven't figured out other things about that. I can get into that later. But I have a kind of aiming square, and I kind of have a directional square. And if I overlap that with an NPC and hit space, I now have some example text. I can continue. Some more example text. Some text here and there. And then okay, all done. And that's a dialogue system, basically in a nutshell. I've been able to really just kind of figure that part out, and then inventory is probably the next thing. Don't quote me on that. I kind of just work on... Why is he out of the square? He shouldn't be out of the square. There's a lot of things I have to work on. Quite a lot of things. And I kind of just wanted to, I guess, have you guys in on the loop, kind of what I've been working on, and that's pretty much it. Ever since I started working on, what was the first thing again? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was this here. Since this was bad, and this was worse, I needed to learn graphics. I got better at graphics, and honestly, one of the favorite things that I was able to do was this game here, which is on my website under top-down shooter. And it's a nice little kind of shooting game with, it's very like Geometry Wars-esque, but I kind of relate it more to vector effect, if anything. And if you hit E, you have a whole bunch of things you could buy, like speed, fire rate, burst. Just practicing some things and just kind of getting a feel for like different aspects of programming I'm going to need for my MMORPG. So that's it for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you have any feedback at all, let me know. And have a great day.